So Beyonce just released a video using products from her hair care line, Cécred. And I want to discuss some of the feedback I saw and talk about this from a business strategy perspective. So I remember when Beyonce first released Cécred, I saw the advertisements. I also remember watching a video of Kelly Rowland using the products, but I noticed that there really hasn't been a lot of buzz or hype surrounding the products. And then all of a sudden, Beyonce drops this video using the products on her own hair. So I am inclined to believe that either Cécred isn't or wasn't selling as well as Beyonce and her team needed it to, or maybe it wasn't turning as big of a profit as they thought it would by now, and or she and her team simply listened to the feedback from the women who requested that Beyonce show herself using her own products. Because I do remember that was a conversation happening online in predominantly Black women spaces. So maybe the only reason they did this is to boost their sales. I am not sure. I'm just speculating. And Cécred is for all textures of hair. It's marketed to all races of women. But let's face it, ladies, Black women are Beyonce's primary demographic when it comes to who is going to buy her hair products. If she doesn't get Black women to bite, her products are just not going to do well. At least not in the beginning. And she and her team know that. So they told Beyonce, look, girl, you got to come off more relatable to Black women. You got to use the products yourself in a video. You got to do a voiceover like the natural hair influencer girlies do. You got to sound a little ghetto and say a little curse word. You got to talk about how Black hair can grow under the wigs, because they know that is relatable to Black women specifically. They know that Beyonce had to show her quote unquote good hair to make Black women buy, because that is the kind of hair a lot of us want or aspire to have. And before anyone gets started, many Black women have the genetics to grow long hair, just as long as Beyonce's hair is. No admixture necessary. And I don't want the dialogue under this video to be about whether or not Beyonce's hair is real, or whether or not Black women can grow long hair, or whether or not you have to be mixed to grow long hair. I think that conversation is ridiculous at this point, because we see the evidence that Black women who are not mixed can grow hair down their backs, whether it be loose or locked up. And it's very interesting because one minute Black women say that there's a ton of Black women who have long hair under their wigs. Then in the next, you're online questioning if Beyonce has long hair because she wears a lot of wigs and weaves. Black women also just went after a woman on TikTok not too long ago for saying that Black hair doesn't grow. It just does not make sense. And not all Black women are in disbelief, but too many Black women are having that conversation, in my opinion. And I said this before in a past video I did about Beyonce's hair in 2019. And 5 years later, we're still having the same tired conversation, and we were having it years before I made that video. It's embarrassing at this point. I realize that different Black women are at different stages and just now coming to certain realizations, but long hair on a Black woman in 2024 should not be a hot topic, in my opinion. The conversation is getting stale, and the only reason I'm discussing it now is to talk about the strategy and business aspect of it. So I'm asking you to please stay focused on the topic at hand in the comment section. Right now, what Beyonce and her team are doing is combining two business marketing strategies, and those are authentic marketing and aspirational marketing. One strategy is used to make a brand appear more authentic, relatable, and down to earth. And the other is used to inspire customers to aspire towards something associated with the brand. In this case being Beyonce's long hair. Mixing these marketing techniques is what a lot of brands have to do right now, because influencers are literally dominating the internet. And influencers have mastered striking this balance because they're not quite considered everyday people or quote unquote regular people, but they also aren't celebrities. They're right in the middle. So it's easy for them to be both personable, relatable, and also aspirational. Their audience has a stronger parasocial connection to them. They feel like they know them, and it influences them to buy their products. That is why they're called influencers, and this is why huge corporations pay influencers a lot of money to sell their stuff. And some celebrities are also good at being both relatable and aspirational. Women like Rihanna come off very personable, but of course she's also aspirational because she's a billionaire. So this formula works in business, especially right now. Like I told y'all in my video about the popularity of wealth aesthetics online, people don't actually like content that is relatable. They ask for that, but they don't really flock to that. What people really want is aspirational content with maybe a little sprinkle or two of relatability, but not too much. Because then if you're too quote unquote regular, then you're boring to them. The audience loves when aspirational people are a little bit engaging with them online, but also have a life that they aspire to. And so trying to strike that balance is a very effective business and brand strategy. And I think Beyonce is trying to tap into that. And FYI, I did drop a related video to this one for Neptunian members and patrons on how to use selective authenticity for your personal brand. And before you clutch your pearls, this is a strategy that everyone uses, including Beyonce. But of course, the internet gets sensitive when women, and especially Black women, are taught how to play the game that everybody is playing on us. So that is why the video is not public. And I also have other social strategy videos available for Neptunians, as well as on my website, ChrissyOnline.com, and they are all politically incorrect, but highly effective. So definitely check them out if you're interested. The links to watch are in the description box. Now, other than Beyonce trying to be more relatable, it's very obvious that she's primarily marketing her products to Black women. I did take a look at Cécred's website, and I noticed that the hair typing starts with the most coarse, coily hair type, in which we know most Black women have. Beyonce's team also made it a point to advertise the line in Essence magazine, which has a primarily Black woman demographic as their subscriber base. And I think that most of those women might be a little bit older. And when I say older, I mean older Black female millennials and maybe Gen X and older. I think that's the age group of women that would kind of buy into what Beyonce is doing right now. And I think that Beyonce going the influencer route is her trying to appeal to a younger demographic of Black women. And if Cécred products aren't selling that well to younger Black women, like I suspect they aren't, I'll tell you why I think that is. It's a mix of different things. I think some of it is obviously that the times are changing, and because of the internet, brands have to sell their products differently than they've done in the past. That is a given. But I also think it's the fact that Black women, and younger Black women in particular, have more information about their hair. And I say that because we have a couple decades now of natural hair gurus online sharing their hair routines, discussing what does and doesn't work for what hair type. A lot of those women have type 4 hair. And in the past, it was very easy for hair care lines to capitalize from texturism and Black women's hatred for their type 4 hair. It was very easy for them to offer Black women a hair pill or some type of serum or oil and put some mixed woman with long curly hair on the packaging and be like, here, if you take this or you use this, your hair will look like that. It was very easy for a mixed woman with long hair to do a hair tutorial and get millions of views from Black women who didn't have that kind of hair, and those women tried to do whatever it was she was doing to get it. And I'm not saying it isn't happening anymore, because I do still see the hair pill advertisements, but I also notice some of the feedback in the comments, and I see Black women saying things like, oh, well, that's not the pill that made your hair like that, that's your genetics. So even though it is still happening, I do believe that that marketing strategy is getting a little stale, or it's getting more pushback than it has in the past, because the girls have realized that there is no magic pill or product that's going to make their hair look exactly like Beyonce's. So I think Black women are becoming hip to the con games, and we're questioning how certain products will work differently on certain women depending on their genetics. And I also think the online conversations about colorism and texturism have weakened the selling power of women like Beyonce, and Black women are asking more questions. That is why a lot of people are saying that it's more so Beyonce's genetics and not so much the products that she's trying to sell. And to be fair, that is the truth. I think Black women getting hip to the games being played on them when it comes to these companies is a baby step in the right direction. So shout out to Black women. Now, some of you black women, you still need to work on your internalized self-hate and saying things like Beyonce just called all you hoes bald-headed as a diss to other black women, because comments like that work against your interest as a black woman, especially considering how many black women have long hair and other black women who simply choose to keep their hair short. I just don't think it's productive to throw black women and their hair under the bus just because you like Beyonce. But at the very least, I am glad that some of us are waking up to the marketing manipulations of these brands, even if it's Beyonce. And y'all know I love Beyonce as an artist, but she is also a businesswoman. So she is going to pander to us and other communities just like any other businesswoman. And I'm quite sure that the video she released of her own hair worked on a lot of black women who live vicariously through Beyonce and want her hair. Just the fact that Beyonce even did that hair video with a voiceover and said a curse word is going to influence some black women to buy her products. Doesn't matter if it works or not. That will be enough for black women. And the point of this video is to remind black women just how much power you have and how we can literally make or break some of these brands and businesses. For almost every black-owned brand, black women are needed as a target demographic to catapult them to the next level. We can use Rihanna and Fenty Beauty as an example of that, which I have to give it to Rihanna and her team. They are one of the most strategic, business-savvy brands out there. And they knew that heavily marketing to black women at the initial stage of Fenty Beauty was the way to go. Why? Because Rihanna has a primarily black fan base, and black women are the ones with the strongest buying power. So not only did Fenty focus on inclusivity by releasing like 40 or 50 shades of foundation, but they also had foundation for the darkest of dark black women. And that not only made black women flock to the brand, but we celebrated it like nobody else did online. And that influenced a ton of people to buy it. Rihanna had all of these black woman influencers reviewing her products, dark-skinned black women who could never find foundation to match their skin, almost crying on camera because Fenty had a foundation to match their skin tone. I mean, black women went nuts, and it's because it was deeper than just makeup. It was tapping into their pain from being underrepresented and their deep desire to feel seen and heard. And I'm sure the fact that the colorism conversation that was really popular at the time assisted with the growth of Fenty Beauty as well. It was more than just about the makeup. It made dark-skinned women feel valuable. That is how neuromarketing or psychological marketing works. It taps into the emotions of the target demographic and influences them to buy. So on top of Rihanna being very personable and relatable to her fans, or making them feel that she is relatable, she and her team really capitalized from catering to a niched, marginalized demographic, and she also influenced other brands like Kylie Cosmetics to do the same thing. Now everybody and their mama wants to add deep dark foundation shades to their makeup brands because they know the buying power is there. And it's really not debatable that Fenty is the brand that it is today, primarily because black women and dark-skinned black women's buying power. And Beyonce and Cécred are attempting to follow in their footsteps, but with hair products. And looking at everything Beyonce has been doing with Cécred, it proves that she needs black women, and specifically unambiguous black women with type 4 hair to buy her products. Unambiguous black women are the bread and butter, ladies. Without us, a lot of these artists and entertainers would have never have gotten put on. Ladies, their popularity starts with us, and I've been telling y'all that for years. And it's interesting because I have been told several times that dark-skinned women such as myself who talk about colorism need black men and light-skinned women and mixed women for our subject matter to grow our channels. But for some reason, they don't want to acknowledge that all of those groups of people, their popularity, their ticket sales, their product sales, their music sales are largely dependent on us. Not to mention the following and the clout that they get from us on their social media pages. So when they try to shame me for using them as subject matter on my channel, it doesn't make sense because they're dependent on the same dark-skinned women doing commentary and our audiences of dark-skinned women and black women to support them and people who look like them. And that includes people like Beyonce. Beyonce needs the very same black women who are listening to me right now to buy Cécred hair products. Because with the way she is moving, that tells us that non-black women, they're not biting like that. She needs us right now. Even me talking about this right now might even help her sell some units. So before y'all tell black women that Beyonce doesn't owe us anything, just remember that she is depending on us to buy her products. Even here on YouTube, these anti-dark-skinned woman channels y'all been asking me to react to, they need the viewership of dark-skinned women and unambiguous black women. They're just not going to grow like that without our viewership. and our engagement because we are the majority of the Black female community. They need channels like mine for their content. They need me to discuss colorism over and over again so they can have ideas for content, and that turns into views, money, and subscribers. I'm sure they'll be using this video for content because they need the Black women over here that watch me to watch them. So Black women, you need to ask yourself, who has more to gain if you and I go back and forth with them? Be very careful of what you're giving your viewership to, who you're giving your money to, and who you're asking me to react to. Pay very close attention to the manipulation tactics these people are using to get you to support them, even though their spaces don't benefit you at all. Just like a lot of you are questioning if Cécred will work on your hair type, ask yourself who's benefiting when you as a Black woman are engaging with their platforms. Don't take the bait and get caught up going back and forth with them or trying to prove that you're that special dark-skinned woman or special unambiguous Black woman that's not a hater. You not looking like a hater to colorist people doesn't do anything for you. It didn't back in the day and it doesn't now. Let them have their spaces and also let the community that they're catering to grow their platforms. It's not up to you and it's not up to me to do that for them. And they know that dark-skinned women and unambiguous Black women flock to women who don't look like them, flock to men who don't like them for validation and approval. Their approval and validation is not going to do anything for you. I said before that I won't be focusing on these topics as much, and that's what I meant, but I just wanted to give Black women a reminder that what you don't watch and engage with or spend your money on does not grow. Y'all need to stop giving power to these people and work on empowering yourself. And what I've been doing lately is leading by example. I am not going to keep engaging and helping people who either hate me or don't benefit my image as a dark-skinned, unambiguous Black woman. I'm not going to allow them to use me for their personal gain, and neither should you. Now, before I go, I want to ask you ladies to share what hair products you are currently using down in the comments. Anything from shampoo to conditioner to hair gel and so on, especially if you have natural hair. Let me know if you've tried Cécred and how well it works on your hair, especially if you have type 4 hair. My favorite hair brand as a type 4 natural went out of business, unfortunately. So now I've been using As I Am products, which I do believe is Black owned. And even if it wasn't, I probably would still use it because their products really work good on my hair. I know that Issa Rae also has a hair care line. Kenya Moore has a hair care line as well. So if you guys have any reviews on their brands, leave them down in the comments. Also, stay tuned for more strategy videos. Let me know what other strategy and level up videos you would like to see. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll catch up with you in the next one.